Stampers, I'm Nancy Novak and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So are you looking for the perfect way to create a playful and personalized Christmas card this season? Well, the Reindeer Fun Bundle is absolutely adorable. It comes with the dies and with the stamp set. So the stamp set is just so cute. It has so many cute little reindeer on here, the little Christmas bells, the Christmas tree. You can dress up the little reindeer, but the dies are awesome too. You've got these 3 little layered pieces that you can use. You've got the wreath, you've got Christmas trees, you've got presents, and the holly leaf, which is what we're going to be using today. So our first card is a jewel-toned holly card, rich festive colors of Blackberry Bliss, real red, and garden green, with beautiful texture from 2 different embossing folders. And of course, the pretty holly leaves. Our second card is a poinsettia card. I cut out real red holly leaves and green and then did some sponge daubing up at the top with our blending brushes. Okay, so let's get started with our jewel-toned holly card. Just love the way this card looks. We have a garden green base, and you can make it be horizontal or vertical. We have very vanilla for the inside and very vanilla for the front. And then I have 3 pieces, Blackberry Bliss, real red, and garden green. And I have a little scrap for our sentiment. I'm going to take the first piece, the piece that goes on top of our card, and I'm going to run that through the Forever Plaid embossing folder and give it some really nice texture. So again, that's the Forever Plaid embossing folder, which really is nice for background embossing techniques or texture. Now we're going to run the 3 little pieces of cardstock through the Distressed Tile embossing folder, and these 2 embossing folders really complement each other really well. Okay, so ahead of time, I cut out 3 holly leaves using Granny Apple Green cardstock. So we have that all done. We'll put those off to the side, and then we're going to focus back to the front of our card. So our 3 pieces are going to go on the front of the card just like this. And I'm going to glue them down, and then we're going to glue everything to the front of the card base. I like to glue the top piece and the bottom piece first, and that makes it so much easier to kind of evenly glue that middle piece down. When we lay this front piece down, we're going to do it just a little bit differently. We're going to put everything over to the right and just have the border right on the left-hand side. So it's a little bit different. Instead of having the border all the way around, we're just going to move everything over to the right and glue it and have that border just on the left. Okay, now lay our holly leaves down and our berries, except for I lost my berry die. I'm so upset about this. 10 years I have never ever lost a die, and I lost that cute little berry die. I've looked everywhere. I've cleaned my craft room. I over-cleaned it, but we're going to make do, and I'm going to show you a really cute way to do something a little bit different. But let's go ahead and stamp our Merry Christmas sentiment. We're going to stamp that in garden green. And we'll glue that sentiment right there over to the left, right in the middle of the red piece in the middle. Line it up on the left-hand side, and that will make it easier for us to line up our holly leaves, which we're going to do next. Okay, so now we're just going to position each of the holly leaves, and then we're going to glue them down. And I'll fast forward through all that gluing, and then we'll finish our card. Okay, well, since I lost that darn berry die, we're going to take our basic rhinestones and our real red stamping blend, and we're going to color in the rhinestones, and we're going to use those for berries. So that's one of the things I love about these rhinestones is you can color them in, make them any color you want, and it's going to work out perfectly for our card today. I'm going to use the little take-a-pick tool, the little flat edge there. I'm going to take these rhinestones off, and I'm putting them right at the base of each of the leaves. So I'm not going to, that's how I'm going to center them. Put them right at the base of each leaf. So we'll put 3 of them right on each holly leaf. It's going to look really, really pretty. And now I'm just going to add 3 plain rhinestones to the front of the card, just to add a little bit more pizzazz. And I like to work in odd numbers. It seems to look better that way. Okay, so far so good, right? I like the way those rhinestones look. Look really, really pretty. Okay, let's do the inside of our card. We're going to stamp in garden green, and we're going to use the sentiment, may all of your days be full of cheer. We're going to stamp that right in the middle, and then we're going to do something special inside. So the stamp set has these really cute little accessory dies. It has a holly leaf, little teeny tiny holly leaf, and little teeny tiny berries. So we're going to stamp the hollies in granny apple green and the berries in real red and add a little bit of cuteness to the inside of our card. Lastly, we'll just glue this to the inside of our card and take a final peek before we start our second card. Okay, and here is your first card. Really pretty with the different textures. They really complement each other well, these 2 different folders. And then we have the pretty rhinestones, which really make it shimmer. And our pretty sentiment side with the teeny tiny hollies and berries. I love that little stamp inside. It really makes the card finish, don't you think? Isn't it pretty? Okay, let's start card number 2. I think you're really going to like. So now we're going to make a poinsettia card using that same holly leaf. We're just going to cut out our leaves in red and then a couple in green and then do a little bit of sponging up at the top. Really adds a little bit of interest to the card, some more color to the card. So we're going to use a base of real red. And then inside I have balmy blue and white. And then for the front, I also have balmy blue and white. And this is one of the dies that comes in the set, and it's very detailed. And the thing that I want to mention, or the tip I want to give, when you're ever using a detailed die, if possible, use nice new flat cutting plates, and it just makes it nice and just makes it sure it cuts all that little detail out. Otherwise, make sure you go back and forth, 3 or 4 times in your machine to make sure it cuts properly. So I'm just going to break away that center piece and all the little tiny paper pieces. I'm just going to go ahead and flip them off with my finger and throw all those little pieces in the garbage. And then I will be right back and we will do that fun technique of sponging. Okay, so now we have that piece all ready to go, and we're going to lay it on this balmy blue piece. But before we do that, we're going to do a little bit of sponging. So I'm going to bring in balmy blue ink, and I'm going to use one of my blending brushes, and we're going to go ahead and bring in a scrap sheet, and we're going to do a little bit of blending up here at the top with that pretty blue ink. So I bring in my blending brush. This one I have dedicated to blue, and I use it for all different color blues. I just clean it off on a scrap sheet before I use it again. So I'm picking up some ink and I'm dabbing it off on my scrap sheet before I put it on my white piece here, because I don't want it to be too dark first. And plus, sometimes you get a really dark piece if you don't use the scrap sheet first. So I'm just going to blend gently and lightly all over the top of this white piece until it becomes a pretty blue that I want it to be for my finished card. So it just takes a little bit of time. It's fun to do, and let's see how it turns out. Okay, so that turned out really nice, but watch what happens when we take the little teeny tiny die from the stamp set. It's a snowflake die, and we're going to put little snowflakes right along the top using that same balmy blue ink. It just really kind of finishes it off. Okay, let's keep going. So we're going to lay our front white piece on top of another white piece. It's cut just slightly smaller than the top piece. Just, you can make it exactly the same size as long as you line it up okay. But what we're going to do first before we glue that is we're going to give that some texture with the Snowflake Sky embossing folder. So I will run that through the embossing machine. I will be right back. Remember, I fast forward, so I'll be back in a jiffy. Okay, now that we have some texture on there, I'm going to bring back in that snowflake die. This is how it's going to be when we're all done. But I'm going to bring the snowflake die in and put a couple more snowflakes here and there right in the center of that circle. Okay, now we're going to stamp a sentiment right at the bottom of this piece. So we're going to use real red ink, and we're going to stamp that sentiment right at the bottom there. Okay, that looks good. Now you could always stamp this right at the very, very beginning, but I think we did okay. So now we're going to glue these two pieces together just like that. And I'm also going to bring in my silicone mat because I'm going to glue the back of all that little detail on the circle on that little background piece, just because I want to make sure that it sticks well. I don't want those little branches flipping up. So you'll see I'm going to bring in my silicone mat after I put some glue on here, and then just blob that extra glue off and then stick it to that white piece. Then we're going to put all of that on the balmy blue piece and put that on the front of our card. So just as a reminder, I do have a project sheet for these two cards. I always have project sheets for the videos that I do on my YouTube channel. You can find it down below in the description, or the easiest way is to subscribe to my newsletter, and then I email the project sheet right to your email address right after the video is done. So I hope you're liking these cards and you're enjoying my videos. Go ahead and leave me a comment and subscribe to my YouTube channel. That really, really helps me out, and I appreciate it. So let's just finish gluing this to the front of our card. Then we get on to the fun part, making our poinsettia. The poinsettia, we need one green, garden green holly leaf, and then I cut two out in red. I cut three out, but we only need two. If you look closely, you'll see there is a right and a wrong side. They look kind of the same, but one does look a little bit better. So we are just going to line up two of these. I'm going to put a little dab of glue right in the center, and then I'm going to lay the green one on top. Okay, and now for the berries. So even though I lost that little berry die, it's not going to matter because we're going to improvise, and I'm going to take our basic rhinestones and my real red Stampin' blend. I'm using the bigger tip, and I'm going to color in my rhinestones, and I'm going to place three of them right in the middle of our poinsettia, and that's going to be our pretty berries. So I kind of like this idea better because it really shimmers. It really makes the card shine and pop. And I just love these basic rhinestones. I know I've told you that before, but it's a good thing they call them basic because they're perfect. You can use them for anything. I love coloring them in with those little blends. Really, really pretty. Okay, so let's position this where it looks really pretty on the front of our card. And then I'm just going to glue it on. You could pop it up, but I'm going to keep this card nice and flat just because of those pretty, that background, those little ferns or those little frilly things. So I'm just going to glue it real quick and put it on the front of our card, and then wait to see what we're going to do inside. Oh my gosh, that is so pretty. I love it. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, so inside we have a balmy blue piece and a white piece, and we're going to stamp the sentiment Merry Christmas in real red. That's what we're going to do first, but then I want to use that darling Christmas tree that's in this set. Wait till you see it. Okay, so we brought back in the garden green and a scrap sheet, and we're going to use that pretty tree stamp. So I'm going to stamp off on that scrap sheet twice. And then I'm going to stamp right in the middle of our sentiment and give it really a faint, delicate little Christmas tree background. I love how that shows, the sentiment still shows through. It's really, really pretty. Wait, there's one more thing I want to do. We're going to add a couple of snowflakes in the balmy blue. We're going to do the same technique. We're going to stamp in balmy blue, then we're going to stamp off on the scrap sheet and just add a couple of snowflakes up there right at the top. Okay, now we're going to glue all of this to the inside of our card, and stick around because I have a little bonus for you, a little sneak peek of a very unique, untraditional card. I can't wait for you to see it. I think you're going to love it. Okay, card number 2 is done. What do you think of it? I love it, love it, love it. I like those little rhinestones on the front. And then inside, just so cute. I love it. Very sweet. I love the way that little Christmas tree is in the background. Okay, so card number 1 was our jeweled cone card with the pretty colors and the bright holly leaves and the little bow. I think I forgot to put a bow on the card we made together, but I did add a little gold bow right there. I think it looks really pretty. I hope you liked today's cards, but wait, because I want to show you this poinsettia card in a completely different color palette. Okay, so here it is. I'm really curious to know what you think about this. I always challenge myself to do a non-traditional color card because I have a prior coworker who absolutely loves non-traditional cards. So this one's going to go to her. And the colors I used are Fresh Freesia, Bubblegum, and Pool Party. So let me know what you think about it. Let me know if you have a favorite out of these 3 cards. I do like the traditional red and green though. And I love all the texture and colors of that middle card. So the Reindeer Fun Set, a lot of fun to use. I guess that's how it got its name. I will be back to do some more cards using the reindeer and the other elements that are in the set. And this one here, we're going to make this in some other colors, but this is actually a gift card holder. So I'm excited to share that with you. So make sure you come back next week. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and don't be shy. Stamp and shout.